Hi there. Welcome to week 3 of the self-coaching tools that I'm using during my YouTube challenge. So, as a reminder, if you didn't catch videos 1 and 2, which are a combined video, you can find them on this playlist. I am enrolled in a YouTube challenge being kind of sponsored by my community that I took my YouTube course in, which I will provide details in the description. And the challenge is to try to get double your income, sorry, or get monetized in 3 months' time. And I'll just recap the challenge real quick just so that you know what's kind of happening and why the self-coaching tools I'm using are being selected for that. So the first part of the challenge is to obviously double your income or get monetized. I'm not yet monetized, so that would be my goal. Um, to batch produce videos, that is record a few videos at one sitting, and to increase the length of your videos by 25%. And then there's a couple others where you would make an investment in your channel that you could then possibly speak to or make a video from, and also to take advantage of opportunities that might be out there that are kind of really up to date current things that you might be able to um, make the most of during your challenge. So again, these videos I'm doing are a little rough and ready. I'm sitting here holding my phone. I noticed in the first video it started to shake a little, so I need to work on that arm strength or something. But anyway, here we are. And so if you looked at 1 and 2, I had my ups and I had my downs, and I would say I'm kind of on a plateau this week. I'm in the 3rd week. I've been consistently making videos, and as I've shared, I'm in a full-time job, so the editing is kind of piecemeal and in between, maybe during my lunch hour or maybe after work. Um, just to share, because this will also be a series of videos, I am a full-time person that is in a federally funded entity. So I work for a federally funded entity that is definitely feeling the impact of all the uncertainty and layoffs and cuts. So that's just added kind of a chronic sense of unsettlement to my week, which I definitely use my tools to manage. And again, I'm going to share some videos. There will be a playlist actually addressing this specifically to people that might be in my boat or have already potentially been laid off. But what I found for this week, the tools that really came in handy, and let me check my notes here. Again, this is, we're doing this on the fly, is that one of the things I try to do is anticipate these obstacles. And I can't I don't think we've talked about this tool in another video, but if we have, I'll probably expand on this. But what that means is that I try to look at what I've got planned either in a day, a week, an hour, or in this case, my overall goal, and write out what I think, what obstacles I'm going to meet. And those can be just like out of your control things like, government shutdown, or they can be things like, I have visitors this weekend. So how am I going to get this stuff done? And also be present for my visitors and enjoy that rather than being distracted. And a big obstacle for me, and maybe you get this too, and is when I get to the point in the day where I've scheduled something to do, often my brain does not want to do it. It is like protesting and whining and telling me how I'm tired or I could go do this instead. And part of anticipating that obstacle is kind of planning for it and having a strategy. So when I get to that point, I've already thought of it. I can do what I've planned to do, which may be in this case, reassuring myself like, hey, Aaron, I know you don't like to do this piece of, your job, but we're only going to do it for an hour. It's going to go by fast. And then we have a break. And, reassuring myself that, hey, we've planned this from our place where we had our kind of best interests. And now that you're in the thick of it, I get it, but don't worry, we got you. And I always try to keep that kind of friendly tone when I'm dealing with my, reactive brain in the moment, because honestly, having a stronghold or insisting and, berating myself, it just isn't sustainable and it doesn't feel as good. So that's one tool, plan for the obstacles and kind of, invoke a playful, friendly tone. And the second tool I'm using is kind of a consistent practice, which is writing out my goals, every day. And this doesn't need to take, hours by any means. What it looks like for me, it's part of my journaling, that I do in my morning practice in between playing with the cat. Hold on, I'm just going to switch arms here, give that one a rest. hopefully not lose you. There we go. And so for me, that means like I have a notebook that I write down kind of that I keep for the channel and for my, kind of work side. And I write down like, I'm in this goal. This is what this is going to look like. I need to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in 3 months if I want to have the opportunity to get monetized. That's a YouTube rule. And I just write that down and I try to do it in the morning because then I'm sort of setting my brain up with the intention that, hey, this is what we're doing. I'm reminding you every day when you're kind of fresh. And it definitely helps me do it first thing because that's before I get waylaid into the rest of, what the day brings. So if that's not something you've tried, and again, this can take 5 minutes, 2 minutes. I just write down a few sentences, remind my brain while we're doing this. I talk about my compelling reason, which is another tool, and there is a video, so check that out if that's something that you're kind of curious about. And doing that practice, I think, has helped keep me on track a little bit, or at least for that few minutes that I'm writing, I'm like, okay, yeah, we got this. And then when I do get again to that obstacle, my brain has already sort of been primed and, to think about let's follow through with our plan and reminding myself every day, like, why this is important. So again, this is third week. The two tools were kind of anticipating your obstacles and planning ahead for those and coming up with kind of a consistent practice to remind yourself of your goals. So I hope you found this helpful. If you're participating in a YouTube challenge, I'd love to hear the kind of tools you're using to like manage all the funk that's going on in your brain. Or if you're just in any kind of challenge, these tools can help you when you have milestones you're trying to meet. And if you found it helpful, be sure to check out the other videos on the channel, and I hope you'll subscribe. See you next week.